Hello, how are you?
Phil,
Hmm?
right, how are you?
Good. Watch that. Those lame 3 episodes of Loki, which, I mean, I guess it wasn't lame, but I don't know. I was ADHDing, so I wasn't really paying much attention.
Oh, the new season or the first
Mm-hmm.
season?
The new
Oh,
one.
gotcha. Oh,
Yeah.
I haven't seen the first season yet. I keep meaning to watch it, but we've just been my Mr. Huck is a huge Star Wars fan,
Yeah, so like
and
Ahsoka.
yeah, he was watching Ahsoka and Mandalorian and all the other ones. So
Yeah.
we haven't had a chance to watch any of that yet, but hopefully we will. Hopefully we can. I don't know if we will or not. Oh, hopefully we will this week, I should say, because we're on vacation this week, so that'll be
Oh,
nice. But
that's
yeah,
nice. Yeah.
yeah, we're having a little staycation this week.
Nice. Nice. I haven't been on an actual real vacation in I don't know how long. Very long.
Well, the last one that we took was in June, and we went to Colorado with my family, and it was for a week, and it was super nice. Like Colorado was absolutely gorgeous, but it came time for baby Huck to go on fall break for school,
Mhm.
and we were thinking of like where we could possibly go and things like that. And I'm like, I just want to stay home.
Yeah, right? Right? It's so much. Vacations are
Oh,
relaxing, but like getting to the vacation and coming home from the vacation are
yeah,
not.
you have to take a vacation from the vacation when you get home. It sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So why not just take the vacation at home and not have to do all that? Yeah, it's so
Right?
much nicer.
Right?
Hmm.
Yeah, sometimes when me and Scott were living in Virginia, we would staycation to like hotels.
Nice.
All right, so let's go ahead. So, what I kind of did for Huggy and Maggot to like kind of start it off and get the ball rolling is to talk about like how did it feel. So for Huggy, it was kind of like how did this start for you? For Maggot, it was like where did the issue start for you? And so for you, where did the issue with Huggy start for you?
I never really had an issue with Huggy, and I still don't have an issue with Huggy.
Mm-hmm.
My prob the I don't it's not I don't have any personal vendettas against him or against anybody else in this situation. I am more so, I guess I'm not really necessarily confused anymore
Mm-hmm.
because I was like at first I was confused as to why I was getting brought into it, but then I thought about it and I'm like, wait a minute, you were on his streams. You've talked about him and things like that, which is fair. And I also can't expect for everyone to have the same opinion as me when it comes to that, and I have to, accept that too. I
When
don't
you
have a
say
problem.
when you say him, do you mean Slug or Huggy or Hashish?
Well, just well, okay. Let me back up here. The opinion of when I was getting confused as to why I was getting thrown into it, quote unquote, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
by not just by Huggy, but by
Maggot.
Leia and a few other people. It's like, wait, you were on the streams, you actually talked to him, and you seemed to be good friends with him. Well, I wouldn't say that we were good friends. I'd say that we were friendly,
Mm-hmm.
but all I said to him on that Badwick stream, on the Kick stream, was he just needed to listen to what other people were telling him,
Mm-hmm.
and that he didn't necessarily have to take the advice, he just needed to listen. That was all.
Yeah.
And it got interpreted as, somehow I was backtracking and all that, and I've never backtracked on that. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't have to take the advice if he didn't want to. And he's a grown man, he can do what he wants. He can associate with who he wants to.
Yeah.
But I personally think that the only reason why that you know why I am into this is because, again, I was on his streams sometimes. I did talk with him. I've only talked to him behind the scenes once, and that was Friday, actually. I was going to bring that up too.
Yeah.
Um and that we did talk off and on. Like, he did send me uh the video of when Milltown dropped his video about me and talking about me and Maggot, and things like that. But then I reacted to the first, I think it was like the first Milltown video where he talked about Peepaw, I think,
Mm-hmm.
with him on stream, and that was, obviously that's when I got brought into the fray, I guess, and Maggot did too, more so. But other than that, I didn't really talk to him behind the scenes.
And him
So
being Huggy, right? Just to make sure.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
Huggy, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just, I was friendly with him, yes, but I wouldn't say that we were like close friends that we talked every day. No.
Mm-hmm. Now,
So,
some people are saying that, like, Huggy not taking the advice, you know what I mean, was shitting on the advice. What do you say about that?
well, yes and no. I think that if people are taking the time out of their day to give him advice if he's asking for it
Mm-hmm.
and he's not taking it and he's not doing what they suggest, then yeah, I can see how people would consider that to be shitting on their opinion. And yeah, or shitting on their advice,
Yeah.
yes.
So, like, his advice that he had asked for was like how he can grow, and so everyone's advice was like, don't talk to Slugger Hashish, right? Am I right about that?
Right. I guess, yeah. Or they not I don't think that they necessarily said that direct. I don't know.
Yeah, no, no, no,
I
yeah,
think
but it's like
yeah.
basically when you boil it down to was that because like I said, I kind of got glimpses of the conversation on when Slug posted his, um,
Mhm.
and so it sounded so I didn't get like the start of like Huggy actually asking for the advice. I just mainly got people calling in and telling him about Slug and how
Right.
he shouldn't be associating with Slug and whatnot. Um,
Right.
and to Huggy's point of view, it's like, well, all of you were associating with Slug even
Mhm.
after the fact. So, and then
Mhm.
some people said, well, the difference was when he went after, God, I can't even remember who the person's name was, but when Slug did it again, basically.
Oh,
And
what he would after Why So Demented?
yeah, yeah. The
Okay.
Why Said
Mhm.
Amended thing was like their last straw because to them that was like, well, Slug did it again, so we're done.
Mhm.
But to Huggy, like, I guess to Huggies and other people who weren't aware, to Huggy's point was, well, you guys were cool with Slug until you weren't cool with Slug, so you're telling me not to be cool with Slug, but like what has he done to me? I haven't set any kind of boundary where it's like, if you do this
Mhm.
one thing, I'm not going to be friends with you anymore. You guys
Mhm.
set that up for yourselves, so why should I stop hanging out with him when you guys were hanging out with him after he's already been a known doxer? But now the demented thing was the last straw. So like, it kind of seems like when I'm getting this conversation, it kind of seems like, oh, well, now I don't want you to be cool with him the way I was cool with him because now I'm not cool with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that, but it's also, yeah, I can see that too. But it's also, I think, more so of a cautionary tale,
Mm-hmm.
if you will,
Oh
too.
yeah, no, I told Huggy, I was like, well, there's a difference between Slug himself and Slug and Hashish being involved, and I think
Yes. Yeah.
that was a big contention with a lot of people is Huggy, and Slug kind of praising Hashish as this good person, but then saying, but I disavow him doxing. But it's
Mhm.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
so I could kind of see that. Okay, so and then when I was listening to think like, I think the tone in which you were like, well, you have to listen to the advice, but like he, I mean, in a way he kind of was listening to it, so then it kind of comes down to, well, you didn't take it, so that's the issue kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that listen. Okay, to me, listening is and this is just my personal
Mm-hmm.
point of view, and no one really has to agree with this, and that's fine. But to me, listening is a huge aspect of respect
Mm-hmm.
and of actually wanting to take that person seriously, or to me personally, it's caring about that person, actually wanting to listen. Like I literally have to tell Mr. Huck every day, listen,
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah.
And it and again, that's just my personal thing, is that listening to me is a very is a huge way of showing respect, like I said.
Mhm.
And that's why I said what I said, that if he wants to show respect to those people that want to give him advice and things like that, then he should listen. I shouldn't have said have to listen.
Yeah.
I That's probably bad wording, but he should have listened to them. And
So,
that's what he should do. I probably shouldn't have said have to listen, because
yeah.
again, bad words. But that's not what I meant. What I
Yeah.
meant was that he should have, or he needed to listen, or you get my point. He should
Yeah.
have listened to what they were saying and take it for what it is, and use it. But I can also see why other people are saying, well, he just shit on my advice, what's the point? Well, they're not wrong.
Yeah.
And but to me, that's all that I had in it, was that he should have listened, and that's it.
So,
And
how would you have, what would he have done to prove that he had listened? What would have that been?
I don't
Because,
know.
like the way I'm seeing it is the only way anybody could have proved that Huggy had listened was with, as if Huggy took the advice. You see how that
Yeah.
it becomes like a
Right.
catch-22, like because
Right. Right.
like Scott, I can tell Scott to do something, and I'll be like, hey babe, listen, okay, listen to everything I'm saying. This is what I need you to do.
Right.
And if he doesn't do it, then I'm like, did you even listen to me? But if he does it, then
Exactly.
I'm like, oh, you listened to me. So
Exactly.
it
Exactly.
becomes a thing of like when you're like, well, people, Huggy shit on my advice, or Huggy wasn't listening to us. But the only way that you guys came to that conclusion was because he didn't take the advice. So then it becomes, okay, so when you say you have to listen to the advice, the only way for him to have proved to you that he listened was to have taken it. And then that's where people
Mm.
come with, everyone's just telling him, you have to take this advice. You have to do
Right.
what we
Right.
say. And
Right. Right.
it
Right.
becomes a big, I think that's what Leia's big contention was everyone's telling him to do these things, and they're saying, if you don't do this thing that I tell you to do, then
Mm.
you're gone. And then, but in the other side of it, it's not so much, oh, these people are telling him to do these things, and if they don't do it, then he's gone. It's, we're telling you to do these things, so partially for your protection, but mainly for our own. And so if you don't do those things, then here's what's gonna happen. So it is kind of like a consequential thing if he doesn't take the advice. And
Right.
I
Right.
mean, as we can see, I mean, he's kind of just being, I wouldn't say blackballed, because he's not at that point where he could even really be blackballed. Um, like, yes, you guys showing up on his streams probably boosted them a bit. I mean, this whole drama is the reason why I subscribe to his streams. You know what I mean?
Mm. Mm.
So, and I'm sure that there's other people that didn't know who the hell he was until this drama.
Mm.
And having and not having these streamers that were willing to come on your stream to kind of clout you up, because I mean, regardless of how anybody wants to say it, like, you get someone like Xylee or you or Maggot and whatnot, and Leia and me, on the streams, we're clouting you up one
Mm.
way. Yeah, it doesn't even matter if we're yelling at you, we're clouting you up. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And so there is a little bit of a consequence to it. But like, if you, there's people bad in a bad faith interpretation, it's, you're not doing what we're telling you to do, and so goodbye, we're not talking to you anymore, we're not associating with you. And then on the good faith side, it's, we're giving you this advice for your safety and for the safety of everybody in the community, and because you're not taking it, you're now you're what is it? You're being complicit in the
Mm.
doxing of people in the community. So that
That's what it, yeah, that's what it can look like, yes. But and I get that, and that's how I would think that I truthfully don't know if that's what Maggot thinks, if that's what anybody else thinks for that matter, but I can see how that could look that way. And I think that for me personally, I think that he just and it's clear, it's becoming more and more clear now. I think that he was closer, or he seemed to be closer to like people like Alpha Russ, Badwick, Ember, Ember Lily, these other people that would come on his streams too. He was closer with them because he interacted with them more. He may have interacted with Maggot beforehand, maybe a little bit here and there. I don't know, but obviously it was more so, this time around. With me, he would, when I started streaming, he would come up, he would come onto my streams and he would chit chat with me and in the chat and stuff, or he would call in on occasion and just want to talk and chit chat, and that was all well and good. And I got to know him through that aspect, and it was fine. And I had heard of him, off and on throughout different people within the community, like, oh, he's a big fuzzy teddy bear, or he's a snake. Watch out for him. I would hear the same thing,
Yeah, no,
but
that's all I
I.
heard when I like interacted with Huggy twice on Twitter in the beginning. Like this is my first
Mhm.
two interactions with Huggy, and I got a bunch of DMs like, "Watch out for Huggy, he's a snake. Watch out for Huggy, he's a backstabber. Watch out for Huggy."
Right.
I never got anything good about it from
Oh,
anybody. Like
well,
nobody.
there you
But then
go.
again, who really tells anybody? Like whoever reaches out privately to tell someone, "Oh, I'm so glad you're interacting with this person. They're a great person." You know what I mean?
Right, right,
Most
right,
people
right.
are gonna do that because they think that this person is a bad person.
Right. Well,
But
I've personally that I can remember, and this may or may not have happened. I don't know. I've never really gotten a DM from anybody saying, "Oh, you're interacting with Jessica now. That's so cool." I've
right?
never gotten anything like that.
Yeah,
What I've
no.
gotten though is I've gotten like, "Oh, you're doing really great with your channel. I think that you are really growing and you are doing great with it. You're doing great streams. You're doing great stuff at they don't necessarily have to add on Maggot, but sometimes they do. Like sometimes they'll say, "Oh, the dynamic between you and Maggot is really cool. I think that you two really work well off of each other." That happens every so often, but not really very much. So it doesn't happen nearly as much as what some people may think. I don't know, but that those are the messages that I get is from other creators saying, "Hey, you are doing really well. Your channel's really growing. You're doing a great job." That's what I get, or I get some people giving me some advice as to what to do when it comes to certain things, like with this, and just letting me understand that this is not anything personal, that this is just stupid internet beef, and that's essentially what this is. I'm not taking anything of this personal. If it seems like I am, or if it looks like that I am, well, I'm sorry, I can't help it. I guess that's just part of my personality, I guess. I don't know. But
Yeah,
I'm not taking any of this personally. I think
yeah.
that all of this will blow over relatively soon if it hasn't already. And if anybody wants, and I've said this before, and intended on telling you this, that after obviously this conversation, I intend to be done with it. But this is what I will say about it, and I'll be and we can obviously talk more about it. But this is just what I wanted to say right off the bat. I am still learning when it comes to navigating my way through this space. I'm still trying to figure all of this out. All of this is hitting me. I wouldn't say necessarily at once, but it's hitting at me from different directions. And I'm getting different perspectives from different people and trying to take those perspectives and trying to see what works best for me. Now, if people want to think that I'm just being a copycat, or that I'm not being genuine, or not being, a real person, or not being me, okay, fine, they can think that. but that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just, again, I'm trying to navigate my way through this space. And but the good thing though is, and what kind of works to my benefit a little bit, but not really, is I've been around the community, as you know, for quite a while now, for a little over a year,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't been in the community, if you get my drift,
Oh no, I
like
get you.
as a creator,
Mm-hmm.
until just fairly recently. And I'm learning that it's a whole new fucking ball game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that I'm still trying to navigate my way through. I'm not going to be perfect at it.
Yeah.
There are going to be people who are going to, again, have differing opinions
Mm-hmm.
of what they feel about me, not just as a person but as a content creator, and they're going to have differing opinions. That's fine. I welcome those differing opinions.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. They're allowed the differing opinions. But also what I ask is that people understand that just because I've been around, quote unquote, doesn't mean that I know how to necessarily navigate my way through shit. I haven't been around as long as you. I haven't been around as long as Maggot, or Leia, or Xylee, or Badwick, or other people that have been around longer. I haven't been around as long as them. They've learned, and you and everyone else have learned for the most part how most of this works,
Mm-hmm.
right? I
Mm-hmm.
still don't.
No, yeah, and in your case, and like kind of in Huggies, it's I didn't I did my first video 2 years ago, and it was a
Mhm.
video, right?
Mhm.
I've never live streamed, and so when I first came into the community itself, like I always consider it when left Edwin's Discord and started interacting on Twitter. Um, and that was like in 2020, like 2021, early 2021, late 2020 is when I started
Mhm.
doing that. And it took leg gate for me to learn the proper way to navigate things, and
Mhm.
I still struggle sometimes. um and then you get like even Xylee sometimes, like she's gone through different communities because like there were times where she was navigating through various communities, and even when she came into this
Mhm.
community, she wasn't liked initially, you know what I mean? And then
Mhm. Mhm.
she's still learning how to navigate it in some ways. You know,
Yeah.
everyone's still learning, and it's a constant learning curve, you know, cuz like things, you know, as the years go and as more people come in, there's always going to be uh new things to learn, and there's always going to be new opportunities to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And I told a Maggot, we talked a lot about, you know, as much as people want to say that Cabal isn't real, I mean, technically the Cabal is real, you know. I mean, and everyone, and she talked a lot about how, like, just in real life and online, you know, the guilt by association is a perfectly normal human thing.
Yeah.
um
I
you
agree.
know, and we talked about like you wouldn't, um you know, you wouldn't be friends with the person that, you know, murdered your family, you know what I mean? So
Right. Well,
like
no, I agree, and that's the thing is that I don't. And again, this is my stance on it though too. With Huggy talking to Ashish and talking to Slug, okay,
mhm,
or anybody that talks to Slug or Hashish, not just Huggy, but anybody that interacts with Slug or interacts with Hashish, or um any of the anti-commentary people, if you will, right?
mhm,
Interact with them all you want. You can become friends with them. You can do what you want. You can create content with them. Do what you want. If it makes you happy, go for it.
mhm,
My only, and again, I think that where everybody was coming from to a certain degree was they were just giving their cautionary tales as to why they feel that these people are not necessarily trustworthy,
mhm,
and how what their experiences were. Again, you can take it for what it is. And if they, and that's just my point of view on it, and that's how I look at it. I didn't necessarily give Huggy any other advice than what I would give you or anybody else for that matter.
mhm,
All I said was that he just needed to listen, and that's it. Everyone else everyone else that has been talking with him and, giving their opinions on it, they were closer with him than I was, like I said. So
Mm-hmm.
they feel like this is a little bit more personal to them than it would be to me because, again, I wasn't as close with him as what these other people were. So I can only give my point of view on it. But I can understand why the other people are upset.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I can.
mean, it's the same thing. Like, I mean, when it comes to even Slug, and I kind of talked about this in the Maggot interview as well.
Mhm.
Slug used guilt by association kind of thing to the extreme where Alpha Russ, because Slug's biggest issue with Alpha Russ was he was, let me see, what was it? He was part of a Discord where people were so like Alpha Russ was in the Steve DeLeave server a few years ago,
Mhm.
and there were two people who scared Slug's mother almost to death. And so Alpha Russ's
Oh, God.
version is he wasn't aware of his mom having an episode to the point of a hospital visit. In a Badwick stream, he couldn't remember what he said in the server. And so Slug thinks that Alpha Rush pulled the trigger on the people scaring Slug's mom.
Mm.
And apparently there's this HTML drive of the chat rooms that only Slug has and hasn't released it. Um, and and so the Huggy stuff is very amplifying it, and Slug went on a tangent for a while about Alpha Russ and what he did, but so it seems like from everyone's point of view, because there's no proof that Alpha Russ did it. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
So it's Slug saying, "Well, you were here. You were in Steve DeLeave server, and there were two people in the chat, and those two people are the ones that did it." And like, I guess I don't know Slug's version because he was supposed to tell me, but so the only version I have is the only reason why Slug hates Alpha Russ was because he was in the server at the time it happened. And
Right.
so
Well,
then it
that's like.
becomes a thing of, well, Slug, if that's your viewpoint, then you should be able to understand everybody else's viewpoint.
Exactly, yes. But here's the thing though, that's what kills me, right? I got two, you actually bring up actually a funny example too that I have. Wait, about a year or so ago. Maybe about a year now. Maybe a little bit less. Remember when the whole Keffel's Kiwi Farms thing was going on and she
Mm-hmm.
was blaming Flamenco for being in that server and she did the guilt by association
Mm-hmm.
to him because he was on that thread, quote unquote. Remember all that?
Yep, yep.
It's
And
the
she did it to
same thing.
Destiny because
It's
Destiny
the
commented on
same
the thing.
thing.
Yeah,
Yes, it's the
that's the
same
point.
thing.
That's a point I think I made when I was talking to I think D-Max and Peepaw and whatnot. I was like, well, uh we shit on Keffels for doing that. Like,
Exactly. Yeah, it was guilt by association. She is just assumed that flamenco, and I hate to defend flamenco in this, but yeah, but that we know of, or that it was never proven that he had anything to do with what she was claiming. And
yeah.
I hate to give flamenco the win here, but at the time he deserved it because he didn't have anything to do with it, that he
Mm-hmm.
was just in a thread, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same thing. But here's my other point, speaking back to Slug for a second. When I told okay, I've made this clear and I've not hidden this in any way, shape, or form. I was friendly with Slug at 1.2,
Mm-hmm.
and let me tell you why. Because I saw Peepaw, D-Max, Maggot, and a few other people within the community actually talking with him and talking with him and giving him a chance, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I figured, hey, he seems like he's being a good person. Why not see what happens, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I would talk with him. I went on like two or three of his streams, I think, and was talking with him about some stuff, and that was really about it. And He never came on. He never came on any of my streams. He just would be in chat, and that'd be it. But he would, he would raid me every so often, which was cool. But that would really be about it as far as like how my channel goes. He was more willing to have me on his channel than, not that I wouldn't have him on, but yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
so but when the whole demented thing happened, right? When all of that happened, I told him, I remember it happening like it was literally yesterday. I will never forget it. It was earlier this year. I was at the zoo, and I got messages from Slug saying that he didn't do, or that he didn't dox Demented, or he didn't dox Salvo. And I'm like, what are you even remotely talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he would send me clips that he took, or snippets of a Discord chat with him and Demented, and that's when all of that came out, that Demented was looking for Salvo's address and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did you give it to him? And he's like, yeah. I go, dude, what are you doing? And that's when I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't have time for this right now. I'm gonna go. We can talk later.
Yeah.
I reached out to Maggot, because at that point I knew Maggot probably knew what was going on, or had a good idea as to what was going on. And I reached out to her and I said, okay, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And that's when she told me, Slug doxed Salvo, and he sent the docs to Why So Demented, and all of this came out. And I'm like, okay, I can't do this. So that's when I messaged Slug and I said, listen, you did a very bad thing. I cannot associate with you anymore. I cannot, no, please leave. And at that point, I think that he was even in my Discord too, and I was in his.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to, please leave my Discord. I'm leaving yours. I can't associate with you anymore. I can't do this. Like, that's not cool at all.
Yeah.
You can't be doing stuff like that. This is not something, no. No. And so he told me, and he probably will change his, I don't know if he will change his mind now. I don't know. Yeah. But he told me at the time, I understand, do what you have to do. And that was it.
Yeah.
And and so he left my server, I left his. I blocked him on Twitter. I did block him on Twitter. That's right. I blocked him on Twitter, and then he blocked me.
Yeah.
Went about our business, went about whatever, would hear him every so often, didn't really acknowledge him, or if I did, it was very rare, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Fast forward to the kick stream with Badwick and Milltown. Yeah. Okay? When Badwick had Milltown on. I was in the waiting to talk to Milltown, mm-hmm. or to just talk in general, but Milltown was still on. Slug was in waiting, as we all well know. Mm-hmm. And he, we got to talking, and I even said to him at the time, dude, you know why I disassociated with you and this, that, and the third. And he's like, oh no, I completely understand why you did what you did. And he, at the time, even told me that too. He reiterated that point. He was like, no, I understand why you did what you did, and so I get it. It's not necessarily guilt by association, but it's just me doing a very bad thing. And I said, exactly. I try my best to not do guilt by association. Maybe I do, and I just don't realize it. I don't know. I'm trying my best to not do that with Huggy. Him and Huggy and I don't know if I don't think that he mentioned this when he talked to you at the time, but I did talk to Huggy on Friday. Mm-hmm. Huggy and I talked on Friday. Now, I don't know if it was before or after he talked to you, but from what I heard, so this is what I told him, essentially. He called me Friday afternoon, and I did say that my door was open for him to come and talk to me, and he sure did. I'll give him that. He called me, and him and I were talking, and he was trying to tell me that he was trying to tell people to leave me alone in that stream and to not bring me into it and everything else. Well, to be honest with you, Jessica, I haven't heard all of that stream. From what I heard, he did not mention any of that at all. Mm-hmm. To leave me alone. So if he did, I didn't hear it, but again, I didn't watch all of the stream, so whatever. Yeah. And I told him, I said, listen, dude, all of this is bullshit. Every single little bit of this is bullshit. It's not that I didn't necessarily have anything to do with it. I just don't understand why I got thrown into this. But then again, I kind of understand why I did.
Yeah.
Because again, like I said earlier, I was on your streams, right?
Yeah.
And also because of and if you want to go there, I guess, or some people are thinking this too, I don't know. Maybe it's because of my association with Maggot now. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that also could be part of it too. But and I told him I just don't want to have anything to do with this anymore. I'm done. I plan on talking to Pizzle at some point this weekend, and once I do, I'll be done, and I'm not going to talk about it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to, and he even told me, he was like, if you want to disassociate yourself with me so you can grow as a person and you can grow as a channel, that's fine. I'm like, it's not that I don't want to disassociate with you. It's just that I think that we just need to take time to ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that we just need to all chill out and we all just need to take a breather and we just need to not talk for a while or whatever it may be. I'm not necessarily closing the door on Huggy. I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaving it cracked open for him in case something does come up to where he feels that he wants to come and talk about something, then I'll talk to him. But other than that, but as of this very moment, I don't think any conversation with him will be productive.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people talk about the why so demented thing, and so why so the just because I think I vaguely remember this situation, but I believe what happened was DMs got leaked of why so demented saying like threatening Salvo, and then asking Slug for Salvo's info, and he was like, I'm gonna go end game him and whatnot. And then Slug gave Why So Demented that Twitter that had Salvo's information on it. Am I correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. That's what Slug sent me.
Yeah.
And if I remember, and again, I can't go back and look, or maybe I could, I don't know, but he DM'd them to me through Discord at the time when we had open DMs,
Yeah.
and that was, God, when was that? Was that like back in May or
June.
June?
It was
Yeah,
June.
June.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like back in
went,
June.
I just went back to kind of I went back into Twitter and I kind of just a little bit while you
Yeah,
were talking
yeah.
and looked to, and of course I couldn't see the screenshots, but then I was like, oh wait, I kind of think I remember this because, and then people were talking. I think it was on Maggot's interview. She talked about it, and then it was we talked about the Salvo Twitter account that had all his full docs, but I guess it was a fake docs. But nobody really cares.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
it was.
I don't know
Yeah,
why
it
people
ended up
say,
being
"Oh,
fake.
it's not.
Yeah.
It's not real." Like it doesn't matter. Like the intent is there.
Exactly. Yes, and that's what Slug kept saying too, was that it was fake, that he didn't do this, and I'm like, that's not the point, and that's essentially that's why I was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, that's when after that, when even if it was fake, that's not the point. The point is exactly that's not the point.
It's
The
the
point
intent.
is that you had intentions of doing what you did, of doing something extremely dangerous, and that is obviously very much frowned upon, not just in this community but in general. I mean, look what's happening with Jack's Films and SS Sniper Wolf,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
I mean, come on now, that's
Yeah, and it's known, and that's one of the things that I don't get. Like, how are you guys confused that that people don't take this a good way? Like, how are you confused? But on the flip side, Slug's been known as a doxer since he went on Chris Hansen. So, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I can kind of see on the flip side other people's viewpoints is like, well, like, yeah, Slug's been known as a doxer forever, and you guys supported him and platformed him and let him come on, like Maggot and Leia and Xylee and all of them, like everyone, they all let him in. So then it's like wait, so it's I think what really comes down to is Slug's presence in the community and how he gets taken out and then he comes back and then like he's a cockroach in the community. I think Slug's presence in the community does kind of give other people in the community this mindset of, well, so is it only okay to dox when it happens to other people? You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
he's been known. He's been like been known since before
Right,
I
right.
came out of Edwin's server. He's been known
Well,
as a
yeah, yeah,
doxer.
yeah.
And so and you know he's been platformed and he's been accepted, and then it's just every once in a while he does something, you know, and then people drop him, and then a few months later they're back to platforming him. And so I think that's where it's a it's a
Well,
pattern when it comes to slug. And so unless that pattern stops, you know what I mean, for
mhm.
sure, but we're not going to know for sure if that pattern stops, because it does take a few months before it starts to repeat again. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so I
Yeah.
think to like maybe like Huggy and to even Slug and whatnot, it's like, nah, y'all were cool with me when I was doing it back then, but now you have an issue. And it seems
Right,
like
right.
it's like everyone to on the flip side, everyone's thinking, oh, you guys are just flip flopping. And then
Well, and that's fair, and that's
yeah,
fair, and that's totally,
and
and that's fair to
but
think, yeah.
yeah,
And
and
it's
then but then I think, and this is what I hope, you know what I mean, I think and I hope that the severity of hashish and the
mhm.
danger that hashish presents is not the same as the danger that slug presents. And I think that that's
Mm,
where
mhm,
I
mhm.
think that's where I think that's where everyone needs to understand is it's not
Yeah,
just slug. It's not about so much it like slug's part of it, but it's not really slug. It's hashish being involved. And there's
exactly.
a there and hashish doxed you because he
Yep,
could. For no,
yep,
you didn't do anything to him. You didn't, you know, he just noticed you. He
yep,
could do it, so he did
yep.
it. And that's a
Not
difference.
only,
Yeah.
not only did he dox me, but he doxed my husband and my child.
Yeah.
And
And
I,
there's a
yeah,
line that Slug does have. There's a line that Slug does have when he's doxing that he doesn't cross, that Hashish doesn't have. You know, and so
yeah,
like
he,
doxing bad,
yeah.
we all know that.
I'm
But like
honestly surprised that Hashish did not dox where my house or anything because he's been known to do that now here too. So I'm honestly surprised that that didn't happen, but thank God it didn't. But still,
yeah.
yeah, he and I really didn't make this known until now that he. Some people probably did know it or saw it. I don't know if they did or not, but um he first the first docs that I had from Ashish was he posted a picture of me and my husband from 2019 when we were in Florida. Okay, I'm like, okay, and that was again. I can't I can't expect to live in anonymity. I
Yeah.
can't because it is what it is. I can't expect to live in anonymity. So when I saw that, initially I was like, "Oh, great," you know. And that's when I did kind of freak out a little bit initially because I was like, "Where is this coming from? Like, what the heck did I do?" That was my
Right?
first thought, but
Yeah.
again, I'm like, but then I thought about it after the fact and I'm like, well, I mean, I can't expect to live in anonymity forever. You know what I mean? Like I've shown my face to a couple of people before. Hell, at the towards the end of the Milltown stream on Kick, I showed my face on Badwick stream.
Oh yeah.
Like it I mean, it is what it is. I briefly showed it for like a couple minutes, and that was it because I felt like it.
Yeah.
And I can't expect to live in anonymity forever. Some people have seen my face, some haven't. I don't really care. I intend on at one point or another maybe showing my face off and on or getting a camera. I've said this before, getting a camera for streams and stuff and being on camera. I don't really care, but it's and then but what crossed the line for me, especially as a mother and as a just overall, was when he doxed my child.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and
And
that's what
I'm
I'm
like,
talking about. There's a line, like all doxing bad, but there's a line that it becomes
oh,
not just
oh,
bad, but just
oh, and then he
despicable.
said that he was going to call CPS on me in that same
Ah,
post.
that's
So that
always
was fun.
fun. That's always fun.
So,
Jesus.
but I didn't believe a word of it for trust me, I did not believe it. But
Yeah.
did I get a little scared? Yeah. But did
Mm-hmm.
I overall once I calmed down from the initial posting of or the initial reaction to me seeing that, did I freak out at first? Oh yeah, absolutely I did, and I have no regrets in doing it. But
Mm-hmm.
once I thought about it and once I took care of it, um that's when nothing really happened, and that was the worst of it. And since then, nothing else has happened, thank God.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, I can't expect to live in anonymity. You know what I mean? And I
Mm-hmm.
can't. But I want my as much as possible. And I know that I've talked about her, and it's fun. And I've never said her real name.
Yeah.
Only a few people know her real name. I know that I've talked about her, and I know that I've talked about my husband, right? I kind of
Yeah.
make that somewhat known. And that's fine. I'll take the risk with it.
Yeah.
But to, you know, to post, to do what he did with my daughter
Yeah.
really set me off.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, like I said, since I took care of that, nothing else has happened. Now, will something else happen now after this? Maybe. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. But I'll just have to be prepared for it and just do what I got to do. But she's just very, very dangerous. But Slug is not as dangerous as what some people may think. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah.
But I can also see too, and I'm not saying that people are doing this, and this is just, an example that I just thought of, or just, this is just something that I thought of. I can also see too with some people how they can view Hashish and Slug as the same person, or
Yeah.
as the same danger, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay, that's your opinion. I personally don't think so,
Yeah.
but other people might, and that's fine. They're
Yeah.
entitled to that. But it's, I can see their point of view with it though. And I
Yeah.
don't know. But yeah,
It's
it's this whole thing with Huggy though. Let me just say this, and I'll just reiterate my point here.
yeah.
Huggy, when you listen to this, and this is Huggy, I want you to listen to this, and I want to make this known, and I stand by this, and I will try my best anyway to stand by this. I have no ill will against you or against anybody else that has been involved in this drama. I hold no ill will against Leia. I hold no ill will against Huggy, against Slug, against Parking Tigers, against anybody that has been involved in this. I hold no ill will. I am not very good at expressing sometimes what I'm thinking and feeling at the time because, again, it takes me time to explain some things and to get my thoughts together because, again, I don't react very well, like right off the cuff. I can't. I've never been able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I want everyone to know, and especially Huggy to know, that I hold no ill will to any one of you. You guys can have your opinions on what you guys think of this. Hopefully, this interview will clear some stuff up with me. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Fine. And I said my piece. But I I don't see, again, like I said earlier, if I don't see Huggy and I having a productive conversation right now, I hope that he does well. I hope that he grows in his channel, and I hope that he does what he feels he wants to do, content wise and personal wise. Whatever he does is what he does. He can associate with whoever he wants to associate with. He can associate with Slug, Parking Tigers. He can associate with the Chiefs. He can associate with whoever the fuck he wants. He's a grown man. He can make his own decisions. But just be aware that, just be careful. And that's all that anybody was trying to get through to you, I guess, in some way, shape, or form, was just to be careful. That's all. That's it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's good ending of it. But yeah. Oh, also, yeah. I guess. What we should do now is clout you up. So anybody watching, you can always find K Huck's channel, and it's K Huck, but it's K Huck, her Huck. I will have it linked in the description, but it's K Huck 1013.
Yes.
where she streams with Maggot Edits, and she does
Yes.
great interviews. She recently had Willie Mack and Bo Blacks, and she just got clouded up like crazy. She's going to blow up, and then I'll be having to ask her for some clout as well. I can't wait for her to interview Mr. Beast.
Oh God, no. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Of course.
But no, I don't see that happening anytime soon. But no, thank you, Jessica, for letting me talk. And I'm sorry that if I rambled or
absolutely not. It was these are partially for me to like step in to be an autistic whisperer when needed, but mainly for you guys to just get these things off your chest. So.
Yeah, and also, and again, like I said, I'm sorry that if I didn't express everything correctly, or if people if people have questions about it, feel free to ask me. I'm sure that this will probably be, covered in some way, shape, or form with other creators, and if they want to talk about it, they can. Obviously, they're welcome to it. I welcome people's opinions, and I welcome people's perspectives on this, other people's perspectives on this, and all I'm going to do and from here on out, and what I'm going to continue to do is just create my channel, try to grow as a content creator, and just do what I feel is right for me and go from there. And that's that's the best thing that I can do right now, and just move forward and not give up and not let silly things like this bring me down, because there's no point and there's really nothing else to really say about it. But yes, feel free to subscribe. Maggot Edits is my co-host. We will be back to streaming tomorrow, Monday the 16th, at 9 Central, 7 Eastern, I believe, is when the time frame is. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check. But the time frame for that but the time frame will change, I think, maybe. But we're going to have Horror and Hellfire.
Oh, I love her. Yes. She was the first person online that I ever met IRL.
Yeah. I remember that story that you told on our conversation. I intend on bringing that up to her.
She has the softest hair. Oh my God, in the entire world. She literally does.
But yeah, we will have Horror and Hellfire on tomorrow, Monday the 16th, and then on Tuesday at 7 Central, 8 Eastern, I believe that we are going to have the artist. You guys may or may not know him. His name is Otendo, or he goes by Otto. He's done some art for Horror and Hellfire for me one, and he did some really cool art for Maggot just recently. He's a great artist, and he's also a streamer. He's a video game streamer. He plays a lot of Nintendo? I don't want to say old school. No, I don't want to say like old school games, but he plays a lot.
Donkey Kong Country.
No, he plays the game. Oh, hold on, I gotta look up the name of it. It's like Taz something.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he does a lot of that, but he does amazing artwork. Go check him out too. He's on his Twitter. Yeah, he's a great artist, so we're going to be talking with him on Tuesday. But that's all that I have stream-wise so far. We may, depending on how the week goes, we may stream again, like, during the day or something, just depending. Or I may, we'll play it by ear. But those are the two that we have scheduled so far, so.
Well, all three of these will be released at the same time. I was going to do Monday, but maybe I'm just going to do it tonight, because it's Saturday. So I'm going to release all three of these tonight at, I'll say, I'm going to do 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And they'll be released at the same time. But yeah, I thank you so much.
Oh no, thank you, Jessica, for taking the time out, and I'm glad that we got this. I'm glad that we had this conversation. And again, Anybody that has any questions, feel free to, obviously let me know if you intend on covering this, whatever. But thank you, Jessica, for taking the time and letting me get my point of view out. I appreciate
Oh
it.
no, I appreciate you. Very good.
Well, well, thank you, ma'am, and I won't release our DMs. I promise.
Okay, yeah, don't do that because you know how it gets in there. All right, bye.
Well, thank you.
All right, have a good one.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.